good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. My name's Jane, and I'm the Customer Success Manager here at Aplos. During our time together, my goal is just to show you around the software and try and answer that question for you of, is Aplos the right fit for your organization? So we're going to go ahead and just ask a couple questions before we get started, just to see who's here and what you're interested in knowing. So first question, I'm just trying to figure out if you have already started an Aplos account and you're in your 15-day free trial, if you're already a subscriber, or if you haven't yet and you're just checking things out right now. We'll give that just a couple more seconds. All right, next one. What's your role in your organization? Are you in the finance side of things? Are you the executive director in the donations side of things with fundraising or development? Or do you wear a different hat? Okie dokie. And then last but not least, what area are you most interested in seeing more about? So if you're a bookkeeper, you might be interested in the fund accounting side, tracking your income and expense. If you're on the fundraising side, you might be interested in tracking people and their donations. If you're an executive director, you might want to know all of it, or you just might want to know all of it if you are wanting a good overview of Aplos. So we will go through all of it. All right. So without further ado, let's go on and show you the software, shall we? So again, my name's Jane. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at Aplos, and I just get the privilege of working with people who are checking out our software to help answer the question of whether or not Aplos will be the right fit. So jumping into things, we'll start here at Fund Accounting. So for all of you bookkeepers, here you're going to edit your account list. So this is where you will create funds to track those balances. As you create a fund, it will assign the equity balance for you to track that fund's balance. But it's super easy. You just click Add Fund, give it a name. You can color code it, which I'll show you how that's helpful in a moment. And then once you click Save, it's going to give you a green bar up top that says, we've added equity account 3000 something. And it will add it here. You can drag and drop anywhere to move things from one account group to another if needed. So you'll notice the fund color is showing up here. I'll show you another place where it shows up as well. These are account groups, so they are ways to group your accounts. And then in reports, they're super helpful because you can subtotal by group. So if I wanted to see my total cash balance, I can do that on my balance sheet, and it's super easy to view out of my 3 accounts what my total cash balance is. So within asset, liability, income and equity, income and expense, you can add accounts by clicking this button. So it'll allow you to give it a number and give it a name on every account type. Asset and liability will be a little bit different in the options that you'll see over here. Type will allow you to make an account a register for asset or liability, and then accounts receivable for asset, accounts payable for liabilities. Then you can choose the activity which is used on the cash flows, statement of cash flows report. You can also make any account a sub-account, so you'd click that button and choose the parent, and that will make it a sub-account. I have a sub-account to show you here in my expense section. If you have a parent account, you can add a sub to it to track individual balances differently. In reports, those will break out as long as you have that setting chosen. If you don't show sub-accounts on reports, those totals will roll up to the parent automatically. You'll also notice in this column here, you'll see it in the income and expense sections, that my funds are assigned. So that's only available in the income or expense sections. Here you'll have the option to assign a default fund. What that does is every time you use an account where you have a default fund assigned, that as soon as you type in the account in the register, it'll automatically select the fund for you. So just is a little bit of a time-saving tool. So again, click the plus button on any account section. You can add groups in any section by clicking this add group. You'll just name the group and click save, and it'll give you a new group. So super easy. This is a really user-friendly page just to get that chart of accounts nailed down so that then you can get on your way with tracking the revenue and expenses for your organization. You can also set a budget, so that lets you predict for your organization what revenue and expense will come in. You also can track 1099 vendors and print a 1099 for them. Tags are a way that you can just have an extra layer of categorization on a transaction. These are an add-on feature, so if you needed to do something like track fundraisers, you can add a tag for that. Other options are maybe tracking departments. You can add a tag for that. You basically have 1, 2, 3, 4 options of tags to add, and you can rename these depending on what's needed to track for your organization. If you do have tags, you'll get extra reports that are tag-based reports. In your first 15 days, you have the option to try out all of these features and then decide which ones you really need. So once you get the chart of accounts nailed down, you can go here to registers to start recording transactions. Remember, I had a default fund assigned to my one of my income accounts. Let me open it up here to click over. So let's look at this grant income. It'll change it to my grant fund. So as soon as I type in grant income and I select the account here, notice it changed the fund for me automatically, so I didn't have to toggle down and select the fund. It's just a little bit easier of data entry for you. So we're always looking for ways to save time. But on this registers page, this is one of our more popular transaction entry pages. You can select different registers, whether that's asset accounts or liability accounts, maybe to track a credit card balance. So you'll, to enter transactions, just follow the required fields, date payee, whether it's a payment or deposit, the account and the fund. You can also click split here to add as many rows as you need. Maybe you're splitting between multiple funds or multiple accounts. You can do that here. You can assign a comment per split and then give it an amount here. Other things that you can do on this page are search for transactions. So there's a lot of fields that you can search for here. You can also export the register if you wanted to. And then here, as you're getting started, this is a super helpful page to load in a file of transactions. So you would download the sample file, load your transactions in there, and then upload them. So I have some examples here that I would choose then an account and fund. You can also do that before you import on this template here so that all of that data will come in. And then once the transaction's ready to import, then I would just choose whichever income. Let's see if I have a bank fees. And then I'd select it and click import. If you do that for everything and then click select all, then you can import all selected here. So do that, have a file per register, because you could always import everything, but you will have to select which target register it's going to. So might be helpful to do all of checking and then select import selected and then import a file for all of savings, things like that. But you also have a bank integration option where typically bank integration will give you about the last 90 days of transactions. So I would start there, see how much they give you, because sometimes you get some bonus transactions, which is awesome. And then you can always use the manual import tool to kind of make up the difference. So search for your bank, link to it with one of our partners, and then see how much you get to bring in with bank integration. The screen for bank integration looks very similar to the manual import screen, if not identical. So super helpful. You only need to learn the page once. Other transaction entry options are journal entries, accounts payable, accounts receivable. You can also print checks And then we have an add-on feature for recurring transactions, where you can create a recurring transaction, recurring payable, recurring receivable, all right here in the recurring transactions section. Moving over to donations, we have a donations module that is linked to the accounting, so it makes it super easy. The way that you designate where donations go is each purpose is linked to an income account and fund. So that will, once you choose your cash account on the deposits page, which I'll show you in a second, it will assign the income to the appropriate account and fund. So you create as many purposes as you need. Purposes are just ways that you track donations in Aplos. Once you've got those dialed down or dialed in, you can click the deposits page and then click this green button. This is where most users enter donations. If you're a nonprofit and you maybe just had a fundraiser, then you can enter a batch of donations. If you're a church and you just had a Sunday service, you can enter your donations from that service. So each batch needs a name. And then you can designate each donor individually. So this is giving credit to each donor. Oh, I don't want to do that. You can associate it with a pledge, but it makes my page a little funky with my smaller monitor. So let me do somebody else. Okay, so if I say Alex just gave a general donation, so his regular monthly donation for $150. Let's say Christy's donating to my building campaign and she's giving $500. And then let's say that Katie is giving to my growth campaign and she's donating $1,000. So that's pretty good for 3 donations. You'll notice it's totaling here. Other fields here on this page are Ntd Fields, so non-tax deductible. Whether you have a portion of this amount that's non-tax deductible, you'd enter that here. Maybe that's a ticket that you sold and this is the meal cost for $25. So the deposit on the accounting side would be the full $150. The donor would get the amount minus the NTD amount as claimable on their contribution statement. Another option is if the whole thing in this amount field is non-tax deductible, you can just check this box. Lastly, an expense amount would be if you're entering online donations, maybe from a different provider. Each donation has a processing fee, so you would enter that fee here. The donor would still get full credit for the amount, but the accounting side would be the amount minus the expense amount. And then you can choose your expense account here, bank fees, and then you can always choose a vendor if it's like PayPal or Stripe or something like that. So here you're going to choose your cash account for the deposit. I'm going to go ahead and click Save and show you what that looks like on the accounting side. So I'm going to Fund Accounting and then Registers under Transactions. Here's that deposit. Remember, I had different purposes, so those purposes had different income accounts and funds, and that's how they're split out. Then here's my fees for this donation here. So my total deposit is here. It's the amounts minus the fee. And that is easy to go back to the batch to see the details by clicking this source link here. And then I can always go back to the accounting side to see it here. Another thing that we have are online donations. This makes the work super easy for you. So you just create an online donation form using our builder. It's going to look like this to the donor on your website. Anyone who fills out this form, their donation is automatically going to flow into Aplos, and the accounting will automatically flow on the accounting side as well. So the donor just fills this out when their donation processes. A contact is created if they don't already exist. The donation's recorded to their name and the accounting deposit's recorded as well. So donor would fill out first name, last name, and email address. You can also request more information if needed. They'll choose their donation amount or a custom amount, whether it's a one-time or recurring gift. Recurring options are monthly or weekly. And then you have an option for them to pay the fee. 40% of donors who donate through an Aplos form choose to pay the fee. So that gives the nonprofit or church 100% of that donation, and the donor will just pay a little bit more to cover that fee for you. So once they click donate now, that will take them to a page to enter credit card or ACH information, and that donation will process. So super duper easy. Looking at the people tab, here's your contact list. This is going to be a list of either donors or accounting vendors or prospects, whoever you put in. So you'll just click add to create a new contact. You can also import contacts if you're coming from a different system. So here's at a glance what a contact card will look like. Here you have the option to upload an image of them. Here's a snapshot of their details. And then here's more information. You can also edit those details to add in more info as well. You can track different things. Their activity will show at a glance what emails that they received, what contribution statements you printed for them, if they have transactions, things like that. Notes will be notes that you can save on the contact, like, hey, don't forget to follow up, or I met with Jane today and she loves us, something like that. You have lists where you can add contacts to lists, and then other information like reports of contacts. So when you sent emails or generated letters, relationships, important dates, all of that. You also have a household option here. This is going to allow you to group contacts under a household. You can generate a contribution statement for a single household as well. So if you have husband and wife who are giving, then you can just print one contribution statement for their entire household. We also have lists. One of my favorite features is this smart list section. It allows me to generate a list based on criteria. So maybe I want to see someone who has donated. Let's do this. Someone who has donations and who lives in a certain zip code. So maybe I have an event coming up and I want to invite people who are in the area. This is giving me a list of all of my donors who live in a certain zip code. From here, I can save the list. And then once I save it, I can print mailing labels, I can send emails, or I can print letters. So it's just a really great tool to let you build dynamic lists so that you can do things with them later. Let's look at reports really quick. Here we've got a balance sheet. Remember, I had a cash account group here. So here's my account group and here's my subtotal of all of my cash. So the balance sheet is going to show your asset, liability, and equity balances here. I also have reports like an income statement. So remember, I had an expense account under salaries that was a sub-account. So if I click here and say show sub-accounts and then click apply, now that sub-account's going to break out so that I can see it individually. Here are my account groups, just keeping things really organized, and then subtotals just makes it super helpful. You can share these reports via email. You can apply some filters and then save it so that you can just click it next time. You can print it and then you can download it as well. Last report I want to show you is our donations by contact report. This is going to show you donations in a summary at first, and then you can click details to see those individual donations here, how the total is made up of the individual donations. And then from here, you can generate contribution statements by either printing them or emailing them. So you'll choose some options here, click print, and it's going to give you a file. So you'll have one contribution statement per donor. Your address will be here. I don't have one in my account, but it would have the full address here if I did. Here's my donor's address, so you can just trifold this, stick it in a double window envelope, and stick it in the mail. So that's easy to generate here from the contribution report. One thing I forgot I was going to mention is in registers, I mentioned the color coding of those funds. That just makes it easy here down in the fund balance graph to differentiate the funds by their color, just for easy viewing. All right, we're going to hop into question and answer in just 1 second. So go ahead and start sending those questions in. While you do, I just want to show you that here you can add users and we have different user roles available. So here are those roles. A CRM is a custom report manager. This is an add-on option to give you a bundle of 10. These are users with read-only access who have access to only the accounts, funds, purposes, and tags even that you designate for them. So they are just a report pulling user. And then looking at the subscription page, here the base price, everything starts at $59. That gives you access for 2 users and 500 contacts. If you needed any add-ons, like any advanced features or any like more contacts, you would just click change subscription to add more contacts or add more users. All of that can be edited here. You also get a 10% discount for paying annually. So you'll notice here's my $59. I just have the base platform, and then I'm paying annually, so I get $5.90 off a month. And here's my total for the year. You can enter a promo code here if you have one and click subscribe to take you to a payment page. All right, I am ready for your questions, so feel free to send those in. You'll have a little question box where you can do so. So go ahead and send in those questions when you're ready. While we wait for those to come on in, you can always ask questions to our support and sales team here by clicking this button. You'll have it in the bottom right of every corner of your page. So you'll see all these beautiful faces are there to help you out. You can search our knowledge base for articles, or you can click start new conversation and send a message in directly, and we get back to you as quickly as possible. Alrighty. Let's see. Okay. Okay, Ashley, yeah, you have 15 days once you sign up to give things a try. We also will have an exit survey, so if you find that you have any specific questions, you can always put that you'd like more information on a specific piece of software or a specific piece of the software. You've got things that I didn't go over that I'll hit real quickly. Our marketing tools like letters, emails. The feed is going to be kind of a to-do list of people to follow up with, maybe first-time donors. You're going to have groups and teams functionality here where you can create groups for volunteer teams, maybe board members, things like that, and they'll have their own portal to log into. So just some features like event registration too, where you can do ticket sales. Basically, our goal was to make a one-stop shop for all of you nonprofits and churches. So if you guys have any questions, there's going to be an exit survey. Feel free to send those in and we'll follow up, or feel free to contact us by clicking this little chat guy. Basically, our team is full of people who love to help people. So don't hesitate to contact us if you do have any questions. Thanks very much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time. I would love to just continue working with you to see if Aplos is the right fit. So don't hesitate to reach out. We are here and happy to help. Have a great day.